Hello, everybody. I am 13, and seeing as how I'm not a huge fireworks fan, not that I dislike them or anything, I just don't like going outside and waiting for them. We're doing a special stream today. Well, not really a stream, it's YouTube exclusive. Let's just start off using all the wrong words. Well, we are doing America Breach, or more appropriately, Merca. So, looking at the deck here, we are going to be playing a Jeskai through the Breach build. For a little while, when Shadows over Innistrad came out, people were playing with Jeskai Nahiri. It was my favorite deck at the time, gave you a really strong win condition, but we're going to be revisiting that. So, first and foremost, we are playing with Through the Breach. You can put a creature from your hand into play, it gains haste. The awesome part about this is it's an instant, so you can do it in an in-step. Gets around Force of Negation. Nahiri is actually just a pretty powerful card, but she works fantastically well with Emrakul. They did a great job on flavor with her. You can discard Emrakul if it's in your hand, just get a redraw. Your graveyard goes back into your deck. We don't really have any graveyard recursion, so we get to shuffle back in all the good cards that we care about. Makes mill a little bit harder. Then we get to exile an enchantment, a tapped artifact, or a tapped creature. Exile effects are really strong at the moment, and it's just super flexible. And if you plus her for 2 turns, you get to go tutor the Emrakul out of your deck, put it into play, attack opponent, Annihilator 6, hit for 15, and all the fun stuff. So then to back this up, we actually get to play a lot of the new fun. Not really fun, they're more prison-y than fun, but we get to play a lot of the new walkers, basically anything strong in Jeskai. Baby Teferi, Big Teferi, Force of Negation, all new toolbox cards that we didn't have when we tried to do this in Shadows over Innistrad. Then we're going to be running this on the entire back of the powerful Jeskai cards, Bolt, Helix, and Path to Exile. Again, exile effects are really strong right now. Path is becoming my premier removal I want to do, and we're going to be doing this one offline. So not really going to have chat or anything, but if you want to feel free to stick around, we're going to be doing whatever we can here. Looks like we already got a first match. Opponent's actually being kind of nice. I guess I actually don't need that chat box today. Opponent said howdy. Let's see, so this is a turn 1 Serum. We can have Relic if it's a graveyard strategy. Strong win conditions. We're just looking for lands. Snow-covered island. Into a Pyrite Spellbomb. This is looking like Urza. So this is actually probably just going to be a turn 1 Relic. Hey! Flibblethip, what are you doing in our deck? Dude just turns up everywhere. Alright, getting down the Relic before opponent can interact. Odds are they're not going to have removal for it, but this will shut off any of the Thopter shenanigans. So opponent shouldn't be able to go infinite until at least turn 4. So likely just going to run out my Flibblethip here. Who knows what this dude's doing here? He's everywhere. And that's an Emrakul. Alright. Well, again, Nahiri just works so well with that. Nahiri's going to make that a redraw. I am going to get my other 2 colors here. Take the shock as they're kind of a prison list. Run out Flibblethip. And now opponents should know at least an idea of what we're doing. Can I shrink this just a little bit? I have no idea what's going on, but I'm excited. Alright, second Nahiri's alright. Again, another decent discard target. Opponent's Pyrite Spellbomb can target Flibblethip, but if they do, it's going to get rid of the draw card effect. This looks like Urza. That's Urza. Here's an Acre Wellspring. I'm not sure when they Scalding Tarn. I usually don't like playing with Relic because I always forget about it because I'm trying to like talk through my lines and everything. But you don't want to give them the option if something else hits the yard. Alright, my own Tarn is fine. So since this Tarn can get anything... Actually, no, that's not correct. I'm supposed to sack this here because the Scry from Serum Visions will get messed up if I find a Helix off the top. So I care about double blue in this deck, means I need to get a Hollowed Fountain. And then this is going to lead up all my colors, if I can actually tap for blue appropriately. Alright, that's a Sulphur Falls. Baby Teferi is an interesting lock piece, although next turn is likely going to be Nahiri. If it's not, Teferi bouncing the Construct is actually a fair assessment. Flibblethip is on defense. We've done a decent amount of damage to ourselves with our fetch lands. And again, you don't want to give them the option. If for some reason they'd rather have Polluted Delta over Ichor Wellspring in the yard, you don't want to give them the choice. I guess you could try to cash in for misclick value, but that's not how we play games. Now here you can come down and actually snipe something. If opponent taps an artifact they don't care about, then here you can snag a tapped artifact. I should probably mention that Relic is in here because we needed some amount of graveyard hate in the main board. We can't run Rest in Peace, otherwise Emrakuls trigger wouldn't go back into the deck. We could run Snapcaster Mage, but there's an Astrolabe, they get a free draw. They do get to reactivate Urza. But yeah, if we had Rip when Emrakul got discarded for Nahiri, we'd end up getting rid of it, which means that we're only going to be able to take the one out of our sideboard if we take out the Nahiri package. Alright, so I ended up blocking with Flibblethip just to save some life. I'm actually 100% expecting to draw a card and leave up the Relic. I can get rid of the pressure on the table and hopefully draw into some removal for this. Oh, I mistapped. I need to leave white up for Path. But this is leaving Relic up so that they can't combo off through the graveyard and immediately punished. Alright, well, if opponent attacks with Urza, then here you can come down and snag Urza. Overall, not mad at it. Oh, should have done that with the trigger on the stack. What can you do? Do it! Are they running out another Urza? We're for 2. So probably just getting another Wellspring. Depending on how hard opponent taps down, if we find a land, we'll actually just win on the spot. Okay, they went for the sword. 2 cards in hand. Do they have the Foundry? Looks like they do. No? 3 mana. 4. They do have another Urza. Alright, so this one's going to be protected. Now the question is, do I actually want to pop the Relic here looking for the land for the win? I'd get 2 draws at it versus just dropping Nahiri next turn and I think I'm going to try to slow roll this. We are in a pretty commanding spot right now. Oh, that didn't do it. I top deck a land. Didn't. Okay, so I did make the correct call. Definitely want the land on top. Do not need another path. This is going to be a path on Urza. Take 7. Try to interrupt the combo. That means I have to path on upkeep so they don't get an additional land drop for turn. Yeah, Bold is looking awful at the given moment. Okay, so I actually talked myself out of it. If I give them until their upkeep, then they're gonna end up getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 blue mana that as opposed to the single land off the path. So pathing now actually nets them less mana. They would have to use this at instant speed, but if they did have another whir, that means they can whir for Thopter Foundry and actually get out of range of getting one shot by Emrakul. This just shuts off enough mana that feels like the correct decision. That is a Goblin Engineer. Decent bolt target finally shows up. Bends the Thopter Foundry. We're going to take our beats for 7, and then this time we are just going to go for the win. Opponent has no cards in hand. Clear out as much of the yard as possible. We have a Flooded Strand on top, which means we're going to get there. Hey, we found another one. There's the Through the Breach. Emrakuls. And this is lethal in the air. They shouldn't have a way to generate a Thopter without the Foundry. They do get a redraw with the Spell Bomb. And the Mind Stone. Maybe that was slightly short-sighted. Now a whir could get an Ensnaring Bridge. Alright, didn't think it was worth popping the Spell Bomb. Alright, Wear Tear immediately comes in. I am a huge fan of Rest in Peace. I think I actually want to keep Nahiri, but that means that our Through the Breach is going to be a little rough. Lyra is a clock, but still going to have some issues with that. Ral is actually another win condition. Hercule's Recall, obviously. Not a huge fan of Remand. A lot of their stuff are small cantrips. Teferi's slightly awkward. Electrolyze is bad. Trim on bolts. Helix at least gains us some life. And that's probably what we're doing. So if we end up finding a rip, it means that we can't discard Emrakul, but we'll have Through the Breach still. Alright, this is an early rip and no blue mana, but we're going to have some time as well as a Force of Negation. Force of Negation can stop whatever part of the Thopter Sword combo we need to. Urza still kind of wrecks this hand, but what can you do? Alright, so depending on what I actually draw here, it's really going to dictate my land sequencing. If I don't see any dual lands, 100% running out the Plains, because the Plains will turn on future Glacial Fortress as a way to rip. Yep, that's slightly awkward. Alright, the basic Plains again. Running out this Opal makes me think that they have redundant Opals. Otherwise, this is just opens itself up to removal. It is free, but it's not like it has Summoning Sickness or anything. Yep, there's the Sword of the Meek. So Rip's going to come in handy here. Although not finding another land is going to be painful before too long. Luckily, this Goblin Engineer just turns into a 1/2 and exiled target combo piece. Blue mana, blue mana. Spellbomb's fine. It's not blue mana. All right. Well, we have a very sexy looking hand. We have a lot of super friends. Basically, have the Justice League, but without blue mana, I can only cast Force of Negation on their turn. So I don't need the redundant Teferi. I'm probably going to use the redundant Serum Vision to set up for more blue mana. Okay, well, this at least buys me a little bit of time. That might have been hasty. They could potentially have a sideboard plan that I could have thought through. Odds are sideboard plan is Psy, and Psy is a 1-4. Hers is also a 1-4. The Lightning Helix is just there to gain some life. That is blue mana. So I need Stevens. Yep. We get to drop Little Teferi, and I don't actually want a -3, otherwise the Spellbomb will just immediately kill him, so get a +1. Also, minusing on an Urza construct is actually game winning, which is 100% what's happening. Called it. Helix could have killed a construct. Maybe it was loose. I feel like enough time has passed. It's probably okay. That is fantastic. So... Logic here. Opponent can recast the Opal for free. Opal is currently turned on for Spell Bomb, so they could just sack the Spell Bomb. If they sack the Spell Bomb, it turns off the Opal. Construct is currently a 3-3. I'm going to see if they actually run out more artifacts. Urza just gave them 3 more mana, so it's probably worth seeing if they can dump at least one of the 2 cards in hand. They're going to have 3 by the time next turn rolls around. They could be potentially setting up for a Mind Stone or just other cantripping things like Astrolobes. And thanks to Teferi, I can actually Serum Visions if I'm not feeling under pressure. Yep, there's the Astrolabe. Although that cantrips when it enters, so that might have been short-sighted. Mind Stone. Yep, so they want to kill Teferi. This means that they do get to recast the Astrolabe and get a free card draw out of it. But Teferi's going to stick around. Urza's not. Urza's going to be tapped, which means if I find a mana, then I can Nahiri and... okay, that's completely acceptable. Okay. Nahiri can exile Urza, and that's just a huge get. Another rip, not great. So, Teferi, bounce, Thopter Foundry, try to find a land to exile Urza. Wow, okay. Magic gods are making this hard. I like all of that. I like that. In fact, I like this. Don't need another path. Another Flooded Strand. That's 5 mana. I'll already have Ral up. Next turn I can function off of 5 mana, so this is fine. Then same logic as last time. This essentially gives them Oh, never mind. Teferi was locking them out. That would have been most correct to do it during their upkeep. Now they just get an additional land for the following turn and they have 6 cards in hand. Yeah, going to be slightly punished for that. One of those is going to be the Spell Bomb. The Spell Bomb's going to kill Teferi. But then I'll have an active, is it Visery or Nahiri? So they do technically have a Thopter Foundry. I wonder if their list runs Echoing Truth. Opponent is playing at a pretty significant speed, but they are thinking through their lines. So I'm going to go ahead and take the time to actually pull this up. So this is going to be Grixis Urza. Sideboard is Teferi and Weretear. So I probably want to run out the second Rest in Peace. Alright, that's another Urza. So I have 6 instants and sorceries in the graveyard, which means I can kill Urza. The Construct isn't doing anything overly productive at the moment. Spellbomb killing Teferi here is almost actively good for me. It means I can minus Ral and still keep Ral. Alternatively, Nahiri comes down, just exiles the Construct. Maybe I should have kept that other path. I didn't know opponent had this extra Urza. But now they can make 3 Thopters. Oh yes, tapping that means I can exile that with Nahiri. Opponent has 2 mana. Oh. I love you, deck. You are awesome. Okay, so I'm leaving the Islet up for Lightning Bolt. So I can exile the card. I think I have to lose a Planeswalker here. Exiling this will get rid of 1 artifact, making a 5/5. Yep, they have to keep Urza for a turn, which sucks because they can reactivate him. Yep, they get a Sacket, get a Thopter. Hopefully that Thopter is going to mess up their combat math. And then I can bold and keep a Nahiri. I assume the Construct's going at Teferi, Thopter, Urza's going at Nahiri. Man, those Astrolobes are some awesome card advantage. Bingo. Called it. Well, Teferi was out, which means they couldn't interact at instant speed. This Nahiri will let me loot away the Rest in Peace. Ral can minus and kill the Construct. This looks like a whir. Urza for a bauble. That is basically just a redraw. You could activate Urza again. So if I Ral and plus, I still need multiple things to go right before I can kill with through the breach. Geez, opponent's gotten 10 cards deeper than me. That is the spell bomb going away. So let's go ahead and kill the card instruct. Opponent's still going to have plenty of time to figure out what they need to do, but in the meantime, I'm not dying on board. They can send 1 point of damage at Rao unless they find another spell bomb. I gotta set up a Serum Visions as well as redraw with Rao. That's an Aether Grid. Love to find a Wear Tear. Ooh, and Agent of Bolus. Alright, so opponent definitely went heavy on the game plan. So they get hit me for 5, ping Rao to death. Wow. Alright, well, let's actually pull the chat box back up for a second. I'm pretty sure, despite the fact I'm not actually streaming, I can use chat functions. Nope, guess not. So I'd have to hide the overlay to show what Tezzeret does. Basically, look at the top 5 for an artifact, animate to make a 5/5, and the minus can be lethal. Which, he's got 2 loyalty, and I currently don't have a board state, so that's quite bad for me. Gearport Aether Grid allows you to tap 2 of any of your artifacts to deal 1 damage to anything, so they can just tap these 4 guys down, kill Ral, hit me for 6. Or sending Astrolabe at Ral. Okay. No pithy needles in the side. Serum Visions. Path is an answer for Urza. Baby Teferi is an answer for the Astrolabe. They just recast it and can reanimate it though. If I try to find a bolt, I can kill Tezzeret. I can sack the Islet to pick up the path here if that's actually what I want to do. Alternatively, I try to draw into a through the breach and a Emrakul, which is going to require at least 1 more turn, and I'm kind of dead on board. Alright, we're going for Stem the Bleeding. Which starts with pathing Urza, taking 5, and then bouncing with Baby Teferi. I'm keeping this Rest in Peace as a loot target at this point. I don't think opponent actually has Echoing Truth, but we've already exiled most of their good combo pieces, so now they can ping me for 2 and attack for 10. Actually, I think I'm just dead. So they run out. They need 3 artifacts. Yeah, I might be fine if they need 3 artifacts. Yep, Astrolabe is turned on. Looks like I'm looking for a Teferi bounce into a path. If I crack this fetch, I'm dead to any artifact, but they didn't play one, so Bobble targeting me. Alright, still drawing live to a path. No, because the opponent will just untap and kill me with any artifact. Show me the sideboard tech. Do you have a cryptic? We're for one. Pithy Needle. Alright, well done. Does this change anything? Bolt can kill Tezzeret if he minuses. Opponent shouldn't be able to kill a Lyra. It looks like they took all their bridges out. I really want the Lyra. I think just having the additional threat's going to be good here. Maybe just trim a Teferi. He's not great in this matchup. He does bounce Karnstructs. I need more firm answers for Urza for this match to go anywhere. Wow. This one's also moving kind of slow. We're currently 1-1 with no match overall. Hercul's recall could have been better. So, I'll be candid. I play a lot of cards for fun interactions, and opponent dropping Mycosynth Lattice, having me float 2 mana and bounce our entire board is why I'm running Hercul's recall over Stony Silence. Stony Silence would just be backbreaking for their deck. So that's probably not correct since there's more meta shares of Urza right now than there is of Karndux. Maybe the extra rip is bad. I don't know. I just feel like I had such an awkward draw. Let's do that. Opponent is expecting Graveyard Hate, which makes me think that they're going to be bringing in more of their actual disruption. This is a turn 1 Serum into a Relic and the ability to pop it if they have a Goblin Engineer. Alternatively, Relic shuts off their Prismatic Vistas and makes the Goblin super awkward. Yeah, I think I just talked myself into Relic. My life total doesn't matter a ton, and I have multiple fetch targets. They could also be on Blood Moon. I honestly wouldn't put him past him, just because they have a bunch of basics as it is. They don't really have any red, but they have Astrolobes lobes to filter. There's the basic island, a Serum. Nope, starting with the Labe. Well, multiple paths can answer Urza. Oh boy, so many lands. I can't imagine needing to pop Relic here, so we'll just go ahead and pass. I should have fetched before Serum. It would have messed with the scry. That was a play mistake. Okay, well that punishes Relic. Yep. Clifftop Retreat is fine. This means that Nahiri's coming down next turn and can start looting away some of these extra cards. Finding a Relic would just be fantastic. There's a Vista. Opponent's currently up to 3 mana. Looks like this is Thopter. Alright, so I am going to grab a basic here. I'm just mildly afraid of getting Blood Mooned out. Plains will at least open up a path option for us. Then opponent doesn't have any pressure at the given moment, and this will punish them for tapping down. Also gets us a really fast Emrakul at this point. So love to discard the redundant path and probably a land next turn. there's Urza. And a construct. Kind of wish I had both paths, but what are you going to do? Oh, they just go infinite? Alright. Well, that's painful. That's really painful. It is mildly frustrating just getting comboed out like that for tapping out on turn 4, but it is modern, and tapping out on turn 4 is how you die. Plus, opponent had multiple pieces I had to interact with. I could have interacted with the graveyard, I could have interacted with the Urza, I could have interacted with the artifact. So, it's all in a day's work. We were pretty close to winning that, but opponent's deck just hit the right pieces. I don't think actually leaving up the mana to pop the relic would have changed the outcome of the game, but that was a misplay. I possibly should have been able to see the line of just dropping Urza and a sword on the same turn and left up path. But at a certain point, you have to commit to your own strategy, and basically getting Emrakul out in 2 turns is a pretty strong win condition, especially when you're sitting on a path in hand. So what you gonna do? The only hate piece we saw was the main deck one, and they pithy needled it. Opponent played very well. I'm not sure how I feel about Baby Teferi in this deck. Maybe it's just because we've only played Urza so far, and that deck is basically all triggers. We kind of shut down the Urza trigger, but they're still able to exile it and then cast it in their main phase, so they still got to do that. They made Whir a sorcery. I don't know. That's probably just not the right matchup for it. That's when having more graveyard hate probably would come in handy. I think most decks right now are running 6.5 to just a little bit under 7 on average pieces of graveyard hate, just because of the speed of the format. Alright, got our match. Single land, no serum. We could set up multiple remands. I think this is a mulligan. Opponent mulliganed as well. This is going to tuck a land, be 4 cards in a Nahiri. Alright, well, we're on the draw. Let's go ahead and tuck a fetch land. Just seems like the worst of all the cards. Chancellor of the Tangle. Alright. We dead? Anamorphose, Allosaurus Rider. Ooh, okay. Our deck can beat Chalice on 1. That's definitely in the realm of things that we can do. Is this mono green? Nope. That's a Through the Breach. Not quite what I want. Is just Turbo Druid? Walking Ballista for 1. Alright, well, this is going to be a recycle remand. Opponent does look like an aggressive deck, so I'm grabbing a basic. Clearly didn't have the combo. That is a beautiful piece of interaction. Bolt not so much, but Helix can kill the Vizier. And I guess we check to see if they have 2. Whoops, didn't crack the Scalding Tarn. That's fine. I'm not really sure what opponent's doing. I'll just go ahead and get a basic and run out Nahiri, start discarding some bad 1-drops that don't do anything. Opponent doesn't look like a graveyard deck. Relic's probably the worst card here. If I do find a way to deal with the Chalice, then yeah, tapped artifact. Oh boy. Alright, so that's awkward because that can get fizzled by Nahiri. I'm looking. Wow. Alright, if they have a Vizier in hand, we likely die. We know they have the Walking Ballista. Okay. Well, them's the beats. I guess remanding the Vizier was bad. Alright, bringing in the absolute best Tate I can. His Ecstatic Caster can kill Vizier. Basically something to kill Chalice because that's painful. We're on the play, so Grim Lavamancer's coming in. Path to Exile is likely coming out. They are 100% turbo. Hurkyl's Recall's probably coming in just because we actually have a lot of 1-mana removal. Maybe keep in the Hurkyl's Recall and just bring in a lot of interaction. Force of Negation can stop things. Electrolyze is pretty strong removal. Teferi can bounce something? Not great. The only instant they have is a Latimari's Call. Although I guess this can bounce Chalice. I'm finding a lot of arguments for a lot of random cards. Remand probably comes out. If they have a Chancellor, they can just Chalice on one again. Not a graveyard deck, and slightly slow. I think I win by keeping their creatures under control. Okay, so this is go fetch a duel, Serum, Lightning Helix, the interaction. Serum attempting to find a piece of artifact removal. Yep, there's another Chancellor of the Tangle. So, Steam Vents. I actually think I want blue-white. Another Helix is fine. Do not want another land. Do I want this Bolt? I have 2 Helixes. No, I want to find artifact removal because I'm expecting a Chalice on one. Okay, that's not actually a problem. That is a fantastic draw. They can't activate it. Creatures costing less actually does seem like a problem. Let's go ahead and Helix it. We have our next couple of turns planned out anyway as far as removal goes, so I don't want to give them the opportunity to cast multiple cards for one and have us not be able to answer them all. Fauna Shaman. Wow, they are all in. Do I want them to tutor and I just remove the important piece? That seems relevant. Yeah, go ahead and tutor away. I want to remove your good cards. I guess I did know about that. That was just a free redraw. Bye-bye. Path is fine. I have a lot of removal. We are currently down a match versus Turbo Druid. Yep, you do you, opponent. I'm going to kill it. Ooh, grabbing the one from the yard, that's spicy. Alright, I do want to draw into my win condition here, so I want basics just in case. I'm going to Electrolyze, it's also the best use of my mana. If they end up dropping a Chalice, I'm going to feel super bad that I didn't path when I could, but no point in ramping them. Yeah, that was a mistake. Opponent fizzled the card draw. Opponent, you know what you're doing. Congrats to you. This is going to be Nahiri. Hold up, path doesn't work anymore. Oh, they can't combo me this turn, so Nahiri can at least exile the Fauna Shaman, get rid of some of their tutoring. I'll hold up path and crack Islet next turn unless I draw some fun action. Opponent's got their own Horizon Canopy lands going on. Oh, they're just done. Alright, just because they can grab a card out of the yard doesn't make me think I actually want to do anything about it. I think we're pretty ideal. Just have so much removal. They have to have a chalice, and we're hopefully going to have chalice removal. Jeskai Breach. Opponent plays first. We have Force of Negation. Doesn't interact with their combo. If they have a Chancellor of the Tingle, Grim Lavamancer's not surviving. We have no way to get rid of a chalice. We could have countered the chalice. I'm an idiot. Alright, let's keep this. Get rid of the Through the Breach. Hopefully they won't have a chalice. If they do, then they should be at least slowed down enough that I can static cast her. Well, there goes my alternate win condition. Just put a Through the Breach on the bottom. That's a Devoted Druid that I'm going to promptly kill. Glacial Fortress is fine. Means my Static Caster is going to be live. If I get 2 Static Casters, I shouldn't be able to keep anything on the table from what I've seen so far. Run out of Vizier. Do it. That's what you want to play. Alright, so opponent's got to have some action going on here. They're trying to figure out in what way to sequence things. Either that or they stepped away for a second. That's a Fauna Shaman. Really don't care about the Fauna Shaman. Path. Alright, things are looking pretty good. Ooh, even a basic. That's awesome. Alright, opponent's got to find something good. This might be a concession. It's so hard for decks to get out under 2 Static Casters. I get to kill anything I want for turn and still hold up my mana. There's Latimar's Call. What do you think gets you out of this? It's got to be something with 3 toughness that also combos. That's a Spellskite. And you're not going to be able to keep anything now? Exiling is actually a real thing with the Green Finale. Another path is fine. So I'm running out the 5th mana here because I actually do kind of care about 5 mana. All future lands are going to be discarded to Nahiri. Discards another Fauna Shaman. Man, that Chalice in game 1 wrecked us, but we were prepared for this matchup. That's an Ewit. Ewit pick up Devoted Druid. Oh, Windswept Teeth. Okay. I'm going to get rid of the tutor target. They've just had too much ability to actually go do what they want to do. Is this a Dryad Arbor? Okay, that's odd sequencing. I am just killing everything that they have. Finale for 3. Grabs another Ewit. Ewit picks up Windswept Heath. Shoot down both Ewits. Hashtag value. I think they're trying to set up for a finale for something big. They're trying to make sure to hit all their land drops. Do I want to try to electro... Yeah, so electrolyzing them here is going to do something very important, and that's put them lethal to a Emrakul attack. So through the breach will just kill them. Teferi's fine. Wear Tear, I think, lost a lot of value now that the game's gone on a bit. I'm just looking for a through the breach. Teferi can come down. I mean, I don't need him, but he's fine. Another finale for 3, probably another Ewit. So Ewit can pick up Ewit, can pick up Ewit. Like, it's a combo, but who cares? Yep. I mean, I can technically just burn them out at this point. Oh, Grim Lavamancer is going to really shut it down. Alright. Opponent does have 5 cards in hand. That isn't a lot to scoff at. But, yep, that's decisive. So I can shoot any number of cards with the same name for 2 damage. I can shoot a specific target for 2 damage. Opponent can't interact at instant speed. I can bounce their creature. I have 2 paths in hand. And I'm drawing live to Through the Breach somewhere in my deck. Wow. Alright, well, I had enough removal that they were never going to get through that. Okay, we do get a markdown a win. A little sad that we didn't take game 1, but opponent was a cool guy. He actually did play correctly, so happily yield that to him. I did flag this deck as competitive. I usually put tags on the top left-hand side of this view and on the website. This is technically Jeskai Control, and Through the Breach is a valid deck. It's usually within Blue Moon, but Blue Moon turned into Arclight Phoenix, so it's a little bit on the old side, maybe a little geriatric, but what else do we do here but play random jank and see how new things work out? Teferi is a pretty strong card, and I think that curving into like Bolt, Helix, Teferi, Nahiri is completely plausible way to win. It is always possible that your opponent just Togoks and you die, but we have a little bit of hate for that. In fact, this is a pretty interactive hand with... Okay, they are on Eldrazi, so Path is going to be live. Every time that I play against Eldrazi, they always have Cavern, but Remand is a redraw. I have interaction for the first creature. I'm going to risk this. I feel like the odds of getting cheesed out are high, but what can you do? Their deck is inconsistent. So there's 2 Eternal Scourges that they can cast. One Smasher's down. Thought Knot's going to be annoying with my current hand. Haven't found one Eldrazi Temple yet, which means odds are getting a little bit higher. They are currently at 6 cards. Alright, Mutavault does not signal a strong start. Oh, crap. I have 6'd. I thought I hit 2. Okay, well, here we are. Oh, I need to come back to this. So, to recap. Eternal Scourge, 2 of them exiled. They got a Chalice on main 2 after passing. Still no Cavern yet, which means Remand is live. I could have actually forced pitching the Remand in order to get rid of the Chalice, which would have been super nice. But instead, here we are. Gonna look like blue-red. I'm gonna Remand the Thought-Knot Seer and then untap Electrolyze, kill the Mimic. Ba-boom. Calling shots like a boss. That is a Through the Breach. With horrible timing. So I know opponent has a Thought-Knot Seer in hand. My path is dead. So Electrolyze is going to redraw me into something that Thought-Knot can kill. Yeah, they're taking the Through the Breach here pretty safely. Really, if I didn't F6 that, this would be a completely different game. Takes the Through the Breach as expected. Okay. That is a Helix. So I'm going to take the shock here because I'm netting the life back. Let's just double Helix this. Gain life, redraw my card. I am technically a combo deck. Opponent with 3 cards in hand. They missed a land drop. Means probably another Thought-Knot. Nope, Mimic's fine. Mimic I can deal with. That means they likely have Endbringer in hand. And I'm just cashing this in now. That might have been a reason to wait until end step. I was hoping to get Little Teferi and unlock Chalice. Currently 5 mana, Mutavault's online. Strip mining them might have been a reason to keep the Helixes. Or just draw Emrakul like a boss. Never draw like a boss. So I'm probably looking at remanding my own path at instep to try to draw. If the opponent doesn't do anything, I'll happily take my beats for 6 if they just try to run it back. Yep. So if they have a Smasher, I'm going to have to figure out... I'm just going to die, but drawing into Emrakul basically does still just win me the game on the spot. So, staying in the deck by 1, not that it matters, then hold priority and path. Chalice trigger goes onto the stack. Remand it. Alright, Clifftop Retreat is not a draw. Serum is not a draw. So... opponent gets to kill me here, and I get 1 draw at a fresh... Emra Mama. Mama. Wow, what the heck is in their hand? They have 3 cards in hand, and they're just continuing the Mutavault beatdown plan. Alright. Well, we tried. I think that was super unfortunate. We would have easily won that game with the Force of Negation. With a Path of Thought-Knots here, Lightning Helix, both Mutavaults, opponent would have a Mimic, and I'd still have plenty of draws. Alpine Moon shutting down Eldrazi Temple is fantastic. They are not a graveyard deck. They are also a Chalice deck. Being a Chalice deck, I'm probably trimming non-zero number of those. Static Caster doesn't do anything. Lyra actually wins in the air. Rao can kill some stuff. And that looks pretty solid. I'm not a huge fan of Electrolyze here. It can take out Mimics, and it can take out a Matter Reshaper and both sides draw a card, but I think I'd rather have Electrolyze than just another one-drop that doesn't really quite cut it. This is no blue card for Force of Negation. So they're playing this deck because it's insanely unfair with the London Mulligan rules. They get Serum Powder and Gemstone Caverns. The odds of me getting Chalice on 1 go up very significantly. So let's go ahead and just mulligan this. And, oh, that's awful. That is so bad. That's not great. So Bolt will only kill a Mimic on 1. Path can at least kill a Thought-Knot Seer long term, and Electrolyze is kind of awkward. Alright, opponent didn't have Chalice on 1. That's a start. Blink Moth, also a little bit of a weaker start. Alright, that's the Chalice on 1. Hallowed Fountain is fine, so I'm going to run out the Scalding Tarn here. Odds are I'm going to have to Lightning Helix the Matter Reshaper Mimic that comes down. Yep, so killing the Mimic here protects me from Thought-Knot next turn. As well as gains back the life I get from fetching. Then I can Teferi, bounce the Chalice, and see how hard they actually want to play this game. If they just drop a Thought-Knot next turn and take Path, I might be in a little bit of trouble. Alright, they're missing land drops. Don't care about Scavenger Grounds, don't really care about Blink Moth. I do care about Eldrazi Temple. So I will let you cast your... Oh, derp the derp. That was bad. That was super bad. Can't trigger check on MTGO. You just can't do it. That is a Helix. So, the wording on this is whenever it becomes a target of a spell or ability, you exile it. I can't bounce it, but even if I did, it would counter it. And if I Lightning Helix it, I'm going to lose life. So I'm probably actually going to use the Path here to exile it, having it countered, and not take the damage from the Scourge. Alternatively, opponent just jams. Yep. Alright, so let's just exile this. Not exile as in Path to Exile's effect. Path is going to get exiled, but there's a trigger when you target it, so it's going to go back into exile. They will be able to recast it, but doesn't really matter. He's gone for meow. Oh, look at that. He wanted to come back. Alright. Regular Lightning Bolt means that I can exile it again. They are getting some serious card advantage from this Eternal Scourge, but that's interesting. So I actually do want to kill that. And I really want to bounce Teferi because Emrakul's going to win the game here. So let's exile that again. I can bounce the Chalice. Yep, yep, yep. You're getting all your card advantage. I guess you can drop a Mimic here if you want to. Or just replay it by exiling Simian Spirit Guide. This deck is so awkward. So I can Nahiri. Looting's not going to do anything. Alright, so I'm going to bounce the Chalice and draw a card. See what it gets me with Nahiri. Yeah, Nahiri, loot, get rid of the Remand. Draw another Remand. Oh, deck. So what I'm imagining happening is Mutavault hits Teferi and Eternal Scourge hits Nahiri. Opponent's drawn a lot of non-land cards. They're already down 2 Simian Spirit Guides, so it's not likely they have a third one. Alright, that's another Eternal Scourge. You gonna take out Teferi? Yep. Okay, I got 2 draws for an Emrakul. That's an island. What is currently in my deck? Ral's in my deck that would care. And through the breach. Okay. So, yes, I'm going to discard the Remand. That's a little Teferi. Little Teferi, bounce the Scourge, don't draw any cards, force them to attack Nahiri. That'll give me 2 turns. I can loot the card I draw and try to win still. Not having stuff on board means that, yeah, I can't just let them attack Nahiri for 6. She's so close to winning me the game. My draw was countered by game rules since the target didn't exist anymore. So they're going to have to hit Nahiri, which means Teferi's going to stick around for a turn. I have 5 mana. I can loot away anything I don't care about. I guess Scourge can hit Nahiri and Mutavault can kill Teferi. But it's taking so much mana for my opponent to keep their board state. I just need to find cantrips. Oh, they sent both to Nahiri. Alright. Opponent, I get what you're laying down. Yep, that's a Chalice. These will just cost mana to recycle. Oh boy, that's awful. Don't really want to make the land drop. If opponent doesn't commit all into Nahiri, I still get a user. Odds are they're sending 5 at Nahiri, 2 at Teferi, though. Painful game. I need to draw some actual action. Yep. That's a terrible force of negation. Would have been nice for the Chalice. Alright. So still drawing into a couple through the breaches and an Emrakul. Path is no longer an answer for Thought-Knot. Ral's gonna die if I kill Thought-Knot. Flibblethip! You may be lost, buddy, but you're exactly what I wanted here. You're gonna buy me a turn and redraw me into another land. Oh, Jesus Christ. That's a Reality Smasher, which means that I'm going to be taking 8 this turn and then lethal the following turn. So I'm going to need to draw into absolutely nothing. Alright, well, that was brutal. Opponent stumbled, but we, tripped and fell off a cliff and died a horrible death. That was just awful. Eldrazi is kind of a hard matchup for Jeskai, but it shouldn't be that steamrolly, especially when we hit two Planeswalkers and try to bounce on the field. Perhaps using Teferi to bounce the Chalice was greedy, but I was trying to draw into our win condition, which, like, even finding more cantrips would have gotten us significantly closer towards. Yeah, that was just bad. Alright, so this is a tap Sulfur Falls into a Serum into Remand Serum. These are hands that die in Modern, but it's a decent 6. Hey, look at that, we're playing against Smallpox, and we have multiple cantrips. Opponent should be taking Serum here. It's possible if they're on a heavy Planeswalker hand, they want the Remand. Alright. Probably another discard spell. So this is either Smallpox or 8-Rack. Could also be Abzan, but odds are it's one of those. Could also be black-white tokens. Oh, it's Esper Shadow. Okay. Arid Mesa. First things first, look like we're looking for a land drop. Teferi is epic in this matchup. We did find plenty of land drops, which means all of those are fine. And if I draw Teferi here, it means that opponent can discard it. Alternatively, this will come in tapped. This will come in untapped, but I won't have a use for it. I can bluff a Bolt with Fiery Islet. I do have one unknown or two unknown cards from opponent. So this is representing that I have a Bolt. That means I have to Arid Mesa and then Teferi next turn. And opponent's cycling, so they haven't found a threat yet. They could potentially have Stubborn Denial. Yeah, I'm still just going to try to jam Teferi. I think the upside's high enough that I can risk losing a bomb at this point. Alright. Nothing from them yet. So they could potentially have Hero's Downfall or Anguished Unmaking. Otherwise, Teferi's going to stick around for a bit. That's a Death Shadow. And that's another Death Shadow. So I was wrong. They found two threats. Let's go ahead and bounce one. That is a Relic. Well, they don't really try to become immense or anything. They could potentially have a Gurmag Angler, but let's go ahead and just try to kill that guy, which we did. And that means I can either Serum Visions and Relic here, or I can leave up Remand for the Death Shadow. It's 1 mana that will replay it. Yeah, let's go ahead and take a look. Don't want lands. No lands. Opponent did see the Emrakul, which means they know we're through the breach. Probably taking Remand, although this is the easiest way that they die. So that likely tells me they have a Stubborn Denial. Otherwise, why would you take the counterspell? They didn't leave... Okay. So I'm going to fetch because I actually do think that the thinning is going to be kind of significant here, drawing 2 cards. 1 life for 2 of 44 is still under value, but it's an out I'm going to be playing towards. So let's go ahead and grab an island. Crack Relic. Crack this. And path. Alright, so opponent's threat should be neutralized for the most part. We have drawn so many lands. So many lands. One, two, three, four, five, six, 7, 8, 9, 10. Alright. Ranger Captain's going to go tutor a Death Shadow. Can also make it so I can't cast on creatures. Bomb? 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 I swear opponents don't know how to use upkeep steps. Wow. Okay. So opponent has shown us discard. Sorry, that's still ours. Discard and Serum Visions. I'm going to go ahead and bounce this. I don't think I care about the instant speed, and I'd rather have a fresh card to potentially just kill them here. Like that card. Oh, I misclicked. I hit 4 instead of 3. Alright, well, I can't do anything if opponent does anything fun, so I suppose that means I'm just F6ing now. Stubborn Denial is currently turned on. Okay, that's interesting. I can try to electrolyze into a bolt. If I electrolyze, it puts them at 10. They shouldn't be able to one-shot me from there. Let's actually try that line. Because that means that if this goes in uncontested, that means my Through the Breach is safe. Or it's not. I guess it would have been more correct to actually save the Electrolyze in case they went down to 2 life. And it also would have meant that the redraw would have been covered by discard. Alright, so in response to the Ranger Captain trigger, I get a Through the Breach. If they have Force of Negation, then that's just GG's. Unfortunately, would have killed them last turn. Yep. Alright, well, I guess I can see what I draw. Oh, I should have left up red. If I left up red, I could have bolt them during their upkeep. Alright, well, that is a game-losing punt. I hit 3 instead of 4, or 4 instead of 3, and that made me lose the game. Grim Lavamancer comes in. It can prevent them from going low on life. Lyra is a flying threat. It's also a creature because a lot of our stuff are non-creatures. Static Caster probably isn't relevant enough. Yeah, I was trying to figure out if there's any other 1-drop that they could go tutor up, and the 12 life Death Shadow just is not worth it. Wow, that's tilting. Definitely should have had that. Remand is awful versus this deck. Their tempo. I mean, I can remand a Stubborn Denial if they're being super aggressive, but that's about it. That probably means Rowl's coming in just because he can actually kill a Death Shadow late game. Also gets us card advantage. Wow, that's aggravating. So what would have happened there was I would have instepped Through the Breach and then untapped and drawn Through the Breach and would have just had lethal on the spot. Okay, this is slightly better. So I'm going to keep this. Emrakul is definitely a win condition, and we already have the Through the Breach, but we're going to be able to shuffle, and doesn't actively do much in our hands, especially if we go the Nahiri route. Yeah, Super tilting. Should have taken that one. Oh well, what are you going to do? Alright, opponent starts off with Watery Grave. Geez, last game we even started off with 2 tap lands. So Sulphur Falls is coming in. I want double blue, which means Hallowed Fountain. Actually, probably should have gotten a Sacred Foundry there because I had the basic plains in hand. Alright, so Inquisition means I'm firing the Lightning Helix at them. I don't want to lower their life total for free. They're probably taking the Helix and dropping a Death Shadow this turn, but it just would have been bigger if I actually shot them. Them upkeep stops. Alright, so opponent doesn't know about the Scalding Tarn, means Flooded Strand's coming out. Super awkward draws. Maybe we need to go up to 2 Emrakuls in the stack if we have 7 enablers for the combo. I think the OG through the Breach list ran 3 Emrakuls. I think that sounds right. Nahiri only needs 1 because you go tutor it and you can discard it if you draw into it. But I think through the Breach needed more. Flibble Thip. Okay, I am tapping like this because that means I can drop my basic plains and still cast most of the 4 drops in my deck. That is a Teferi. Alright, so Flibblethip is going to not block Ranger Captain. So they're actually likely going to be sacking a Ranger Captain at my upkeep next turn to make sure I can't through the Breach if I drew into an Emrakul. So taking my beats for 3. Flibblethip is better off chump blocking a Death Shadow. Or even swinging in for 1 here, turning on Double Bolt as a kill. Actually seems pretty good. Opponent is targeting themselves, so Gurmag Angler is potentially coming down. In traditional Grixis, I loved bringing in Rips because it left so many Gurmag Anglers stranded in hand. Alright, so I'm expecting an opponent to either have Stubborn Denial up or sack the Ranger. So if they don't sack the Ranger, I'm expecting the Stubborn Denial. Okay, that's a card. The extra Death Shadow means we're probably completely out of this. Yep, as expected. So I gotta chump block the Death Shadow, then I can through the Breach on their end step, try to call the bluff, then draw into an Emrakul. Or potentially just Teferi, tuck the Gurmag Angler. Yeah, tuck the Death Shadow actually prevents the most damage. Then opponent will either attack me and give me a turn to live, or they'll attack Teferi. Alright, well that turns off through the Breach bluff. show me the stubborn denial. Yep. All right. So I actually think I might just call it here. So I let's actually go back to this. So clean capture. We want Grixis Urza. Let's go look at through the breach. Three Emrakuls. So there's three decks here, and it's a 4 of and 100% of decks. Is there one on the side? Okay, that math isn't adding up. The sample deck has 3, and all decks have 4. So I got used to playing the traditional Nahiri control list, where you just run Nahiri with Emrakul, and you only need a single target because you'll go tutor it up. This one is 3x and 100% of decks. Yeah, so this was probably a punt on my end. So we ended up having a couple of missing Emrakuls, so we couldn't actually through the breach them. We actually lost a good number of our games trying to find them, which is why I'm probably just going to call it there. So what did we learn? We need 2 more Emrakuls at the very least, probably 3 more. We have a little bit of cantrip effects, but I don't think Remand's very good in Modern at the moment. Every time I've played it, I've ran into Chalice decks, I've ran into Death Shadow decks, and it's just like, do you want to hold up 2 mana to have your thing be uncounterable, or just have them recast it? The format is very quick and painful, so it just does not bode well to just make your opponent recast something. The number of times where I've been like, hey Phoenix, would you like to recast your 1-drop and get your Phoenixes back? It just feels awful. I've heard a lot of people say Remand works really well versus Hogok, which is why I wanted to include it, but of course we didn't see it once tonight. Also probably a little light on the graveyard hate. Like I said, I think the current standard is pretty much 7 graveyard hate cards between the main deck and sideboard. We have 5. Granted, 3 of those are Rest in Peace, but yeah, it probably just isn't good enough. So definitely needed more Emrakuls. This ended up being a kind of fun list, though. Like, you tell me I can have 4 Helixes, 4 Pass, 3 Bolts, and I'm probably going to sign up for that deck. Like, these are the cards I love to cast. Teferi is very strong. Electrolyze has kind of fallen out of taste, but it's still a very powerful card. Devoted Druid was able to sack their Druid in response and fizzle our card draw. It didn't kill anything tonight aside from a Mimic, so I don't know. Maybe I'm feeling like that was better than it was, but at 3 mana, kill 2 target creatures and draw a card is very playable. Maybe if we saw more of the Octomancer or whatever they're calling the new Mardu Pyromancer deck, it would have been a little bit better, being able to shoot down 2 young Pyromancers or a seasoned Pyromancer, draw a card, clear the way out of some tokens, clean up half a Lingering Souls, and still draw a card. No board clears also made this a little awkward. Probably needed a Wrath of God or a Day of Judgment or something in the board in case we ran into humans. Merfolk also made a little bit of resurgence with Force of Negation, although I haven't seen it since it first got put into the format. I don't know. But bottom line was, if we're going to run through the breach, we need to pair it up with a couple more Emrakuls. And the rest of the cards were pretty playable. I'd probably just trim down on remands, slam 2 more Emrakuls in, and call it a day. But this was supposed to be our Jeskai Breach. If you actually are looking for a good Jeskai deck, feel free to go check out Thunderbolts and Lightning on Squirrel Dealer or on YouTube. So I kind of did that one as a meme, and I may have blew my load a little too early on that because I ended up doing just about everything in Jeskai that I wanted to do before 4th of July, so that was horrible timing on my part. But the entire concept of this deck was 4 Lightning Angels, which red, white, and blue, and 4 Mantis Riders, which are red, white, and blue. But we ended up pairing that up with a bunch of bolts, and it was actually quite good. Like, I was a fan of this deck. It performed very well. It even had the Electrolyzes in it. Expansion Explosion is like my new favorite version of Sphinx's Rev. It's in blue-red. It doubles utility, like all the fun stuff. But this deck was fun. I'd go check it out. Tonight was a little bit of a flop, like we're not even finishing the last round. But thanks for sticking around and watching, and be sure to stay tuned for more videos.